Bricks and Minifigs is your one-stop shop for all things LEGO. Hit the link below to find a store near you.
Hi all, my name is Joe and welcome to Brickfair Pretoria 2023. What you see behind me is the castle and fantasy collaboration built from the ZA LUG community in South Africa. This grew a couple of years ago from 5 guys to what we now have over 60 members on our WhatsApp chat group and 20 members who collaborated to put together this awesome display. In a couple of minutes we'll take you through to some of the details, but let me tell you a little bit more. This group put together a display that consists of 420 base plates and 20 tables worth of Lego featuring different medieval and castle sections. We're here with Paul Doran, one of the senior members for ZA LUG and also one of the founding members for the Castle Special Interest Group. Incredible talented builder, and he's going to show you some of the things that he's got on display. But Paul, before you show us, just tell us a little bit more about what you have on display here today and what storylines do you have running?
Hi Joe, thanks. Well, basically we have the market in the beginning, and it's one of my favorite builds because you get to use so many of the items Lego make. It was actually quite an experiment for me to actually create something that looks like cloth out of Lego bricks, and to actually get it right was quite a bit of fun. So I enjoyed that, and to just give that feeling of a gathering place where people would come in a rural area just to meet and chat and to trade all their goods. So I thoroughly enjoyed doing, for example, the candles and the spices. You have all the cheeses and the butter, and so it was quite fun trying to figure out what would be sold at a medieval market.
Thank you, Paul. Moving over to your tavern and the house over here, do you want to tell us, before you start showing us how great it is on the inside, anything more about the two different builds that you've got here?
Yeah, I was looking online and I found a very detailed model that someone had made of a stable out of foam, and I decided to try build it out of Lego, so this is my version of it. I thought it actually came out quite nicely. Not everything can be seen from the front. It's actually got a very nice lean-to at the back here where you would park a wagon, and all the horses are obviously stabled in this stable.
And are there anything on the inside of the build? Is it a modular building that you can open, or?
It does open, but it's actually quite boring on the inside because it obviously just houses horses. But it was nice to make and to get doors that function.
And now, after you get that in, we're going to show the people this amazing build next door. And this is called your tavern, correct?
Yeah, this is my Wild Boy Tavern. So I created this to go with the stable. Obviously, you can't have a stable in the middle of nowhere. So this is the tavern, and being a tavern, it would have rooms for the tenants that the tenants can hire and spend the night. So those are the rooms for rent. And then on the other side we have the owner's quarters. So we have the parents' bedroom and the bed for the kid, and obviously an attic where they store all their nonsense because there's very little space in a medieval building. So they have the attic. And then once we go down, you have the kitchen and the tavern itself, where obviously you have your bard and the owner's wife preparing bread for the evening meal, and the owner selling drinks to the patrons that will most probably arrive a bit later once they're done at the market.
This is an incredible build. I just love how she's taking the bread out of the oven over there. The barman has got a washcloth where he's cleaning the things. It's just so much detail from an incredible builder. So well done, Paul. And show us what happens at the last level of this build.
So obviously, also once again, storage space. Most medieval places had a cellar. So this is where They store their wines, their linen, their cheeses. They dry their herbs. You obviously have the cat trying to get the cream as per usual. Any medieval place always had a shady aspect to it, so we have the secret entrance into the forestman's office, because the forestmen have a hideout next door. And then behind the secret entrance we have a trapdoor down at the bottom there. So that's how they would get in and out secretly.
This is another great example of how beneficial the two-brick mill system can be, because you can go even further down and add a lot more details to your build. But while I allow you to restack that, we're going to move over to the forest next, and you'll show us the connection between your tavern and the forest. But we'll first talk about the trees, and I want to hear a little bit about the technique that you used on how to get them that curved, because that is just beautiful how they're not straight up and down trees, but they all curve to the side, and then the hidden features that you've got for these trees. So tell us more about how you built them so skew.
Well, it's obviously just using a snot technique, and they obviously have to dismantle to make them easier to transport, because they're not transported together. So the actual trunk is just made using snot and just stepped over one plate at a time to give it a nice angle, so that they're not obvious straight up and down trees.
And you called this your forestman forest, right?
Pretty much, yeah. It's a hideout for the forestmen. There's a tower here that used to be populated by nobles. Many years ago, it has since been demolished and nobles ran out. But because of the blood tree next to it, the locals think it's haunted or populated, or a wizard is resident in the tower.
So knowing you, Paul, I know that building is also modular. Do you want to show us what's happening on the inside, and how maybe give some insight on how it was constructed to get it so perfectly round?
Yeah, it's obviously modular, because you can't really transport this as is. So the roof does come off. Inside we have obviously your forestman lookout, who will notify anybody else coming along that there's someone on their way. We have the levels. Each level has its spiral staircase. In true medieval fashion, the stairs aren't even. They do go up and down in odd heights, and it just keeps going level by level, each with its own staircase, until we get to the bridge, which is obviously long gone. There is a skeleton placed there by the forestmen, so that they can scare off any guys who actually want to get to their plunder down in the bottom of the tower. And obviously there's the trapdoor that connects to the so it's all under the tower there. That
So you say that's the trapdoor that goes to your tavern for a quick and easy escape?
Yes, unfortunately I didn't have time to actually build the actual tunnel, but in theory it's there in concept.
That is quite a task to build a 2-brick high tunnel, but I'm sure if there's one guy that can do it, it's you. Do you want to show us some more of the hidden features of this build?
So yes, we have the crow's nest for the forestmen to keep an eye out. We have some traveling parties coming through the forest that other forestmen are supposed to be keeping a watch on, but they're not doing their job. So you have even more forestmen rather upset with them that they are taking their time or being very leisurely in their duties.
And I see you've also used some of your trunks to be bridges over canyons and some of the river. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, obviously your forests are not just beautiful trees, they change over time. So your trees get struck by lightning, they rot, they fall over. So I had to try and incorporate some of the things you would see in a forest, and I thought the fallen tree stumps would be the best way to do it.
And did you do all of the designing for these trees on LDD or on Stadio before you started building, or was this free building?
I plan most of my stuff on Stadio because it's very difficult, especially with the rock work and stuff. If you're building and you're a brick or two out, it takes too much time to take it apart, dismantle and rebuild. So most of my dimensions, my planning is all done on Stadio before I get to physical brick.
That's a very, very clever idea. And I want to ask you about your wagons at the end there. If you want to tell us a little bit more about if there's a story there, how you've built them, and what's your favorite part about the wagons?
Yes, unfortunately they are very small. They don't have interiors, but I had a lot of fun designing them. I actually have quite a few variants at home. It was one of the first things I built when I got back into mocking, and so it was just a fun thing to design. It's normally a feature in most of my mocks for medieval is one or two of the wagons and a few of the wandering folk.
So I want to show you a little bit more of what it takes to be part of this collaborative display. One of the things that we are very strict about is that when we use the mill system, that it is a 2 brick high mill system that connects to each other. You have to have 4 studs in front, then 8 studs for a road, and then towards the back it's whatever you want to do. as long as your section is at the where it's going to touch your neighbor, is two bricks high and a plate on top of that. If you know that you're going to put your display next to someone specific, you can collaborate beforehand to make sure that this section is whatever you want it to be, but otherwise this is the standard. 4 studs, 8 studs, and then whatever you want to do with 2 bricks high. This is also a section that you have to build it on a 32 base plate that starts and finishes exactly the same way. And this section is what we call a section where it's 3 base plates deep. And in order to be part of this display, you have to put 3 base plates together and not just 2 or 1. Otherwise, the display won't work. And when they all put together, they just fit together, and you can put it next to anyone in this group, and the display works. This is what I spoke about earlier, where you have the 4 studs, 8 studs for a road, and whatever you do towards the back. You can also see here where it's the 2 bricks high in front, the plate, and the road must always be 1 plate lower than the grass on your display. When you then remove your own section, it can always, and bring it back, it can connect to any other builder, and that section is then continuing either with a road or whatever you want to do in between. And the minute you reach another builder's display, like we have here, it puts together and it works because the standard is the same for everybody. What we've also wanted to do with, when you see this built in a rectangular shape, is there's 4 corners. And what we asked some of the builders to do is to build road plates that connects at a corner shape, so that even if we don't have to go in a straight line, we can go around corners and the build will always work. A neat little feature that I want to show you for this builder is the use of a normal suitcase, a minifigure suitcase that is used at the back of the suitcase to depict the bricks, and I think that works really, really well and very pretty. Some more very nice part usage is the use of the little clouds as skin sheeps. You've got the use of a boat as the entrance way to a building, and a nice little story going on in the back here where the big cat has just finished eating his dinner. He's walking away, he's full, but there's a vulture coming in to finish what he couldn't finish. One of the reasons we decided to go with 2 bricks on our mill system and not just 1, it allows you to go much deeper and to show more detail as you do instead of using 1 brick. 2 bricks just allow a lot more levels in your build, and it also looks better at the end of the day on display. We have a very, very clever technique that I've not seen in any of our displays yet, is the use of tensegrity as part of the fantasy on this castle, and you can see how the builders used it very, very effectively. And we've had so many comments of the public asking how this works, and it's such a beautiful, such a clever idea. I might even steal it myself. I've already talked a lot about the standards that we put in place to make the connection between the sections very, very easy. But here you can see we don't put a lot of limitations on how the people must build. This builder over here used the snot technique to create the edges of his water, and if we move just next door to his neighbor, he used plates with studs on top to depict his edges of the water. So even though we have a lot of rules on how we connect to each other, what happens within your section is still up to your creativity. And unfortunately, if you don't know and you don't ask, you don't always get to see the details. So this builder is going to show us the inside of the top section of his display. And you can see the amount of detail he's put in there. It's absolutely beautiful. But if you don't ask him about it, he's not going to volunteer and show you how beautiful it is. And it is all modular, all going down. Really fantastic build by Christian, one of our members for the castle seek, and a fantastic little display that he's got here for us. And even more, it just keeps on going. Oh, and this one also opens up. There you go, a little rat.
Hi guys, I'm Rian, part of the Castle Special Project. So on my build I've got a couple of hidden Easter eggs. I'll take you around here. So first of all, the medieval times you would never have a bicycle wheel and a net. Also the guys will never have real fish hooks. So that's what you can see. This guy's holding a box of fish hooks, also real fishing rod. That won't be in the medieval times. The penguin here is washed down the river due to the phenomenon called global warming. That's what we have over there. Further to that, we've got these guys hiding under the tree that's spying, and this guy's got a pair of binoculars that would also not be available in the medieval times. So they're actually spying on the people this side, army going for backup to the next door neighbors on that side, and the other army faction over here, their wagon broke And typical South African phenomenon is that everybody looks, but nobody really helps to fix the wheel. So that's what I've got there. Also, hidden in here is a snake. And this guy is obviously spying out this chicken for lunch. So yeah, that's about it. Thanks.
So this section, there's not much I want to point out as something standing out. It's just an incredible build with so much detail, so few straight lines that makes it look so much more organic. And something that I just noticed that I haven't seen over 2 days already is a little broken wagon that's left to rot over there. And you can see this builder is a very talented builder with the amount of detail, the amount of grass, the lack of straight lines that makes this look a lot more medieval and handmade for the time. As we go through, you'll see a lot of beautiful trees, a beautiful windmill at the back there. You've seen his houses standing out, and even the small little details like somebody feeding the chickens and he's chasing them away because they're in the fields. They want to eat the seed that he's planting. So there's so much happening in a very small space with a talented builder. It is one of my favorite displays at Brickfair 2023.